Nova 1, Inactive. Real name, Richard Ryder. Occupation, high school student. Identity, secret to the general public of Earth, known to SHIELD and populace of Xandar. Legal status, American citizen with no criminal record. Former aliases, the Human Rocket. Known relatives, Charles, father, Gloria, mother, Robert, brother. Place of birth, Queens, New York. Place of power loss, planet Xandar, Tranta System, Milky Way. Group affiliation, Champions of Xandar. First appearance, Nova number 1. Final appearance, as Nova, ROM number 24. History. Richard Ryder, a student at Harry S. Truman High School, was sitting at Uncle Fudge's ice cream parlor when he was struck by an invisible ray sent to Earth by the humanoid alien Roman Day. Roman Day was a centurion in the Nova Corps, the space militia of the planet Xandar, and he had been mortally wounded in battle with an alien named Zor who had engineered mass destruction on Xandar. Aboard his starship orbiting Earth, Day used Xandarian technology to transfer his superhuman powers to a random Earth being, gambling that the being who acquired his powers would be willing to carry on his fight against Zor. His body overloaded by the sudden influx of power, Richard Ryder was taken to a nearby hospital. As Ryder lay in a coma, the dying Roman Day telepathically explained to the youth what had happened to him and what his mission was. After his recovery and discharge from the hospital, Ryder was in his bedroom when Day transmitted to Earth his final gift to Ryder, his Centurion's uniform. Ryder found himself endowed with superhuman strength and resilience, as well as the ability to fly. Ryder had barely gotten the chance to test out his powers when Zor betrayed his presence on Earth in a rampage through Midtown Manhattan. Ryder sought out the alien and engaged him in battle for several minutes until Roman Day was able to lock onto Zor's exact location through his telepathic link with his successor. Then Day teleported Zor to his Nova ship and used the energies of the ship's computer prime to totally disintegrate Zor. Somehow, Day's own body was destroyed in the process. Enamored of his new powers, Ryder, calling himself Nova, began to patrol New York City in hopes of finding criminals to battle so he could establish a reputation as a superhero. Among the first of the superhumanly powered criminals he encountered were the Condor and Powerhouse, the latter of whom was an amnesiac Xandarian sent to find Roman Day. The Condor, a winged mutant who had aspirations of becoming a great master criminal, had learned of the existence of the immortal named the Sphinx, Sphinx, and saw him as a rival for his ambitions. Nova became an unwilling accomplice of the Condor for a brief time, and when the Condor learned of the Nova ship in Earth orbit, he determined to raid it for alien weaponry to use against the Sphinx. Thus, Nova visited the ship of his alien benefactor for the first time. Later, in combat with the Sphinx, Nova was overpowered and mentally probed. The Sphinx learned that the knowledge for which he had been searching for the past 5 millennia, the means by which he could end his immortal life, was contained within the youth's brain. However, it was impossible to extract that information by force without damaging Nova's mind and subsequently making it lose the knowledge it contained. Hence, the Sphinx let Nova go free, but intended to keep him under surveillance. Months later, following a series of exploits in which he encountered several other superhumanly powered crime fighters and criminals, Nova was teleported aboard the Nova ship, along with his new companions, Crimebuster and the Comet. There, they learned that the Sphinx had seized control of the ship, having learned of its location from the humanoid computer Quasimodo, and was piloting it to the planet Xandar, where there was a vast planet-wide computer system which contained the knowledge the Sphinx sought. It was this computer system, telemetrically connected to all of the Nova ships in the fleet and thereby to all of the ship's commanders, that conferred upon Richard Rider the knowledge that the Sphinx had detected in him. With a crew composed of Nova, Comet, Crimebuster, Diamond Head, Dr. Sun, and Powerhouse, the Sphinx traveled to Xandar, which had narrowly survived Zor's attack and now existed as 4 artificial planetoids. On the way to Xandar, the Sphinx and crew encountered a fleet of alien Skrulls, see, Skrulls, who had launched an attack on Xandar, and Earth's Fantastic Four. The Sphinx took advantage of the Skrulls' diversion to descend to Xandar and extract the knowledge he required from the Xandarian computers. Becoming immensely powerful, he set forth for Earth to destroy it. While the Fantastic Four pursued the Sphinx, and eventually defeated him with the aid of Galactus, Nova and the others remained on Xandar to help the world defend itself against the Skrulls. For several months, Nova and most of the former members of the Sphinx's crew aided in Xandar's war effort against the Skrulls, earning the name Champions of Xandar. See, Champions of Xandar. When the Skrulls finally retreated, the Nova Corps Starfleet pursued them to make certain it was not simply a ruse. Comet, Crimebuster, and Diamond Head followed the Corps into battle, leaving Nova, Powerhouse, and Xandar's Protector behind as the planet's guardians. Months later, the Nova Corps returned to Xandar, announcing that they had achieved victory over the Skrulls. In reality, the Skrulls had dimensionally displaced the entire Corps and had used their shape-changing powers to take their places. The criminal Diamond Head had betrayed the Xandarians to the Skrulls, causing the death of Crimebuster in the process. With the aid of Rom, Space Knight of Galador, see, Rom, the Xandarians were able to crush the final Skrull invasion. Having been gone from Earth for almost a year, Nova was very anxious to return to his family and friends. He was dismayed to learn, however, that Xandar needed the powers of every one of the surviving Nova Corpsmen to rebuild Xandar's line of defense. Although he protested that he had earned the powers of a Nova Centurion, Richard Rider realized that the only way he could keep them was to stay on Xandar. Thus, he chose to forfeit his Nova powers and return to Earth instead. His Nova powers siphoned from his body, Rider was sent back to Earth via teleportation beam. Height, 5 feet 9 inches. Weight, 145 pounds. Eyes, brown. Hair, brown. Powers. Nova possessed superhuman strength, endurance, speed, and resilience, approximating that of the alien adult Nova who transferred his powers to him. Nova was approximately 10 times as strong as his normal level of strength, enabling him to lift, about 1 ton. His endurance was also about 10 times that of the average human being of his age, and his practical reaction time was about triple the average speed. His skin and muscle tissue was tougher and more resilient than similar human tissue. Nova's skin could deflect high-caliber bullets and small explosives without incurring any damage. His body could also withstand the impact of a 200-foot fall without injury. The upper limits to his immunity to physical harm are not known. Nova was also able to fly. It is unclear whether this is a physical power possessed by the Nova Corpsmen or if this is a property of their uniforms. Regardless, Nova could fly through some manner of manipulating electrons, probably as a means of propulsion. Nova could fly at speeds in excess of the speed of sound, 770 miles per hour, but his top speed through Earth's atmosphere was never determined. Paraphernalia. Nova's helmet contained radio circuitry able to pick up the full range of radio frequencies. This enabled him to monitor the shortwave transmissions used by the police. The helmet also had a transparent plexiglass-like plate that could be lowered over his eyes and lower face by cybernetic command. Sealed airtight, the helmet was connected to an oxygen supply hidden somewhere in the uniform, presumably in some of its heavily padded areas. It is not known how much oxygen the suit contained. The helmet was made of some unknown extraterrestrial substance which could be rendered as malleable as cloth when not in use. Nova's uniform was airtight and constructed to be able to withstand the rigors of outer space. The strength of the material of his uniform probably contributed to Nova's ability to withstand injury.